Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Steelers Mike Tomlin gives pessimistic George Pickens injury update. After missing the first game of his 3-year NFL career against the Cleveland Browns last week, Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver George Pickens' hamstring injury appears likely to hold him out of the team's Week 15 matchup with the Philadelphia Eagles. During his press conference on Tuesday afternoon, head coach Mike Tomlin gave reporters a pessimistic outlook for Pickens' availability but didn't rule out the wideout entirely. "If you pressed me, I'd probably say he's out or could be categorized as doubtful," said Tomlin. As for how the injury occurred, Tomlin stated that it initially popped up during post-practice work last Thursday. Pickens was then a limited participant on Friday. The Steelers looked to keep him as healthy as possible ahead of their contest versus the Browns. However, Pickens was unable to play. Tomlin added that an MRI on his hamstring revealed that the injury was more significant than they initially thought, making it likely that Pickens will be sidelined in Philadelphia. Pickens' timeline for a return is unknown at this point. Though, Pittsburgh certainly hopes he'll be back sooner rather than later. He has posted 850 yards and 3 touchdowns on 55 catches this year. His presence is crucial for the Steelers' offense. Pittsburgh hopes that Pickens will return to the field soon. However, based on Tomlin's diagnosis, it might not be that soon. "We're just in the mindset of getting him healthy as quickly as we possibly can," Tomlin said. "There's a potential for this week, but it's an outside chance. If you press me, I'd probably say he's out or could be characterized as doubtful as we sit here. But, again, like we always do, we'll go through the normal procedure. We'll let participation be our guide in terms of availability and then obviously the quality of that participation." The Steelers head into the Week 15 game against the Eagles with a 10-3 record and are looking for their first road win in Philadelphia since 1965. Pittsburgh has had awful luck in their last 2 trips to Philadelphia, being outscored 69-16 in those matchups. If they are without Pickens, beating Saquon Barkley and the Eagles will be much more challenging. Regardless of what happens in the team's game against the Eagles, the Steelers will have a chance to clinch the AFC North Division title when they travel to Baltimore to face the Ravens. Hopefully, Pickens will be available for the Steelers by then. Steelers off-field drama erupts. The Pittsburgh Steelers maintained their strong playoff push with a dominant victory over the Cleveland Browns in Week 14 at Acrisure Stadium. While the on-field performance showcased Pittsburgh's dominance, post-game attention shifted to social media allegations of fan misconduct. Carly Teller, wife of Browns guard Wyatt Teller, took to social media. "The fans in Pittsburgh today were so blatantly disrespectful to me and the Browns girls. I've never felt so attacked by people who I literally did nothing to. Very sad/embarrassing behavior," wrote Teller's wife. Steelers fans quickly responded with pointed comments. "Your fan base was attacking visiting Steelers fans a couple of weeks ago. Did you criticize them for it?" one fan wrote. "Don't care, didn't ask, enjoy your off-season, 'cause your season just ended in front of you," wrote another. "Ha ha ha ha. Try walking into Browns Stadium wearing Steelers stuff. You are in their home field, what do you expect to happen?" added another fan. Meanwhile, Russell Wilson led the Steelers with 158 passing yards and 2 touchdowns, including a critical 20-yard strike to Pat Freiermuth in the third quarter, extending Pittsburgh's lead to 27-7. The Steelers' defense held the Browns to just 14 points, forcing 2 turnovers and limiting Cleveland's third-down success to 2 conversions on 13 attempts. The win moved Pittsburgh to 10-3, tied for the AFC's second seed, while the Browns fell to 3-10. Pittsburgh now prepares for a critical Week 15 showdown against the NFC East leading Philadelphia Eagles. Both teams enter the matchup facing woes, with Pittsburgh facing injuries and the Eagles facing internal implosion. While the Pittsburgh Steelers deal with pressing matters like the injury status of George Pickens, they still need to consider their quarterback plans for 2025. But here is why the Steelers must not hand Russell Wilson a big contract extension this offseason. Cutting to the chase, Wilson has been very good for the Steelers this season. His record alone, 6-1, speaks volumes. And his 12-3 interception-to-touchdown ratio works quite nicely, too. But there are several reasons why the Steelers must pump the brakes on making Wilson the king of the future. It has to be pointed out from the get-go in this discussion. Wilson is 36 years old. He's clearly past his prime, and his decline became evident over the previous 3 seasons as he posted a record of 17-27. His 2 seasons with the Broncos brought nothing memorable to the equation. Wilson is a 13-year NFL veteran with tons of mileage. But it must also be considered the fit he is with the current Steelers makeup. NFL insider Ian Rappaport said Wilson is ahead of the pack to be the Steelers' quarterback in 2025, according to NFL.com. As of now, based on his status and play, Wilson appears to be the leading candidate, Rappaport said. This upcoming offseason, if the Steelers want to bring back Wilson, and it seems like they will, they'll have to negotiate a new contract, and a franchise tag is also an option for any free agent whose team is attempting to re-sign him. And that's the sticking point. Wilson will cost big money to the Steelers. And while he's been solid this season, the return on investment may not end up looking good to the organization. Mike Tomlin likes what he has seen from the veteran. It's the first time for him going through AFC North football, and I thought he acclimated himself to it well, Tomlin said. Pittsburgh Steelers nearly traded for star Philadelphia Eagles cornerback. Flashback to 2023 when Darius Slay appeared on the outs with the Philadelphia Eagles. Some teams inquired about Slay's availability, and he was nearly traded before the two sides came to the table and hashed out all other issues, allowing Slay to stay with the Eagles long-term. However, one of those teams that could have acquired Slay if he was traded was the Pittsburgh Steelers. Cam Hayward and T.J. Watt started recruiting Slay when the rumor swirled that he would be available. Then, the Steelers signed Patrick Peterson after Cam Sutton left to head to Detroit, but Slay was one of the targets that the Steelers wanted to land. Mike Tomlin, one of the best coaches in the NFL, Slay said on his podcast, Big Play Slay. What's so crazy is I almost was going to them, too. They hit me up, too. TJ Watt text me, Cam Hayward text me, and they talked about me coming there. Before I ever got to make a decision, they signed Pat Pete, so they kind of chilled out for a minute. But I was almost a Pittsburgh Steeler as well. That is not a surprise, as the Steelers at least hunt in waters of star players to see if they would be available. General Manager Omar Khan has not been afraid to shake the boat and make a move for a big piece, but the Slay deal never came together after the Steelers signed Peterson. That year, the Steelers had one of the worst secondaries in the NFL. Khan traded wide receiver Deontay Johnson this offseason to acquire cornerback Dante Jackson, who has 5 interceptions and has plugged in nicely as a starter across from Joey Porter Jr. And you fan? What do you think of the situation of Darius Slay? Leave your opinion in the comments.